So in today's video we are going to talk about Linux file system, and specifically we are about to talk about files. Okay, so which are the goals for this video? We are going to learn only a bit, about Linux file system, and we are going to learn about files in Linux file systems. Okay, so what's that about Linux file system? Okay, usually Linux uses ext as its file system, and that means that it's a specific file system with specific characteristics, and there are many versions of the ext file system. Okay, but they all share the same concepts, the same characteristics, and they are extremely inspired in Unix. Okay, extremely means that they almost look exactly the same. Okay, they do things behind that are different, or different versions of x2, x3, x4 are do different things, but the concepts and characteristics of the file system are going to remain the same. So we are going to look at the first and core concept on Linux file system, which is Linux files. And basically we define a file in Linux, saying that everything that in Linux that is not a file is a process. Okay, that's pretty absolute, but it's true. Okay, everything that it's not a file, it's a process. Files, directories, sockets, and pipes, which are concepts that we will look later on. Everything is a file. Okay, and everything that is not a file, it's a process. But there are many types of files. Okay, we're going to look at some of them, and in the exercises you will work with the type of files that there exists, and we will try to manage some of them. Okay, we're going to look at the list of Linux files. The symbol and the meaning means that when you list the files inside inside somewhere, you're going to see that there's a symbol saying D for directory, L for link, C for a special file, and in some shells or consoles or command lines, there will be different symbols. Okay, do not panic, because they mean the same concept behind. Okay, so we're going to go one by one at the type of files. We're going to go with regular files are, we are going to look at the special ones. Regular files are files, the concept I've been saying the whole time, the piece of information that makes sense as a whole, PDF, song, configuration file, text file, whatever. Okay, any file. Okay, the confusing ones are, for instance, directories, which are also files, and are files that are lists of other files. Okay, as I said in somewhere, directories reference other files, and they can reference also other directories, because directories are files also. Okay, so basically they are lists of other files. Okay, special files are the mechanism used for input and output. They are in /deb, which we will see what that means, and also special files. Okay, you don't have to take care about it. Links are a concept that arises in Linux, and is basically the way to make a file visible in multiple parts of the system's file tree. Okay, we will make an exercise about making links and stuff like that, but basically is, for instance, if you have a file in this branch, you can make a link in another branch, and if you access to that file, to that link in real life, it's going to be a link to the real file. Okay, it's not a copy, it's not like in Windows how it's called direct access. it's a link to the real file. It's very similar to direct accesses in Windows, but it's way more special because it's way faster and it works different. Okay, but it's also another type of file. Okay, sockets or domain sockets. It's a special file type also. Basically provides inter-process networks protected by the file system's access control. What does that mean? That you can make a socket between processes and they can talk through it like it's a file and using the file permissions and the access control, but they are not writing inside any file. They are making a socket and like a pipe between the two of them. Okay, and named pipes, they are kind of a socket. Okay, but without using networks. Okay, named pipes and sockets, they are extremely used when you want to make the output of a process the input of another one. For instance, if you are, I don't know, if you are monitoring the network, for instance, maybe you want to output that monitoring, that information going on. You may want to make that output written to a file. So you make a pipe and you connect that output to be written on a file. Or maybe you want to send it to another process that is going to, I don't know, analyze that information and take only some of it. Okay, so that's done through sockets and pipes, and they are also files. Okay, so as you can see, everything is a file in Linux. Okay, we will work on this type of files in the exercises, but basically those are all of them. Okay, and regular files, as I said, data that makes sense as a whole. I left it to the end because they are the easy ones. Okay, so we learned about Linux file system a bit, and we learned about what's a file in Linux file system and which types there are.